ignition and liftoff Falcon 9.
This past March, private spaceflight company SpaceX carried into space a satellite that's using advanced technology to measure methane emissions around the world.
Methane separation confirmed.
Manufactured by Colorado-based Blue Canyon Technologies and roughly the size of a washing machine, Methane-Sat will circle every part of the Earth to measure how much of the planet-warming gas has been emitted into our atmosphere and how those emissions vary.
Methane-Sat would be one of the first satellites that's actually not only able to measure the source of emission, but to actually monitor it over time so they can see if it's getting better, if it's getting worse.
Methane emitted through human activity accounts for about 30% of the warming the planet is currently experiencing and is 28 times as potent as carbon dioxide at trapping heat in our atmosphere. Methane-Sat, developed by the Environmental Defense Fund in collaboration with several partners, will initially focus on fossil fuel production, which is the second largest human-made contributor to methane emissions after agriculture.
We've been leading efforts to understand methane emissions from the oil and gas industry for well over 10 years now. And several years ago, we realized that we couldn't collect enough data to really be able to capture those emissions on an ongoing basis, let alone in all the countries around the world.
Hamburg and his team designed Methane-Sat specifically to provide that data and answer three basic questions.
Where are the emissions? How much are the emissions? And how are they changing over time? And this will be the first sector for which we have across the globe empirical data that allows us to track those emissions and really to applaud those who really do reduce the emissions, addressing climate change, and those who are not leaning in, making it very transparent that that's what's happening.
The data will help scientists assess where reductions need to be made and by whom in order to bring about meaningful change.
The key here is going to empirical data, high quality data, data that we can trust and that we can then utilize to really understand the problem. Because if we don't have a clear picture of the problem, we're going to try and reduce it, but not very effectively because we may be making interventions in the wrong places and in the wrong ways.
Methane-Sat will yield what the team says will be the most comprehensive data set ever produced for a single industry. In the meantime, preliminary data from the satellite will be accessible to the public free of charge within the next 6 months. Julie Tabo, VOA News.